Hey guys, it's me, Gearaholic here, and today I'm doing a new review. Today's review is going to be over the Eureka Silver City. So the Silver City, which is really kind of nice, it is obviously a 30-degree sleeping bag. It's comfortable to sleep in up to or down to 30 degrees. So let's talk dimensions real quick. The overall compression size of the actual bag itself is going to be 14 inches by 7.5 inches, which means it can get really small for any kind of necessary bag usage that you need. I've found that it can go down to almost 12 inches if you really stretch it and really get it compressed. The inside sleeping bag, it measures 87 inches by 34 inches across for chest. And basically it's a really skinny, long bag. And basically I'm really tall, so that really works for me. And because I have that a little bit of extra room in there, it makes it really easy for me to move my feet around and get comfortable, or add blankets and gives me a little bit of room. But if you're a bigger guy or a bigger girl, you may need to look at maybe getting a wider bag. I'm not sure what their options are, but that is something to definitely remember. Nice. The one thing I have to complain about this hood closure is that it's really tight around your face and it's not very comfortable. So I wish that they had added padding around the perimeter of it, so that way when it goes close to your face, it would sit soft on your face and not be so hard and feel like you have a string tied up against your face. On the inside, near the actual drawstring hood closure, there's a rip that happened a while back. And that's happened probably about 3 years ago when I was on a trip. I went to go close it and I just heard I heard all these little fabrics, or the entire stitching basically came loose. I have yet to stitch it back up because obviously I've just neglected it. But that whole design, that shouldn't happen. So when you're gonna make an entire hood that pulls closed with a nice little latch closure, you need to make sure you double and maybe even triple stitch that rim all the way around. And if you add that padding, I think you're gonna be right in the money. The zipper design actually on the sleeping bag, which is really nice, it's really nice YKK zipper, and it flips from the outside to the inside, however you wish or however you want it, because it's on a nice little hinge pattern here. So basically it makes it easier to unzip from the inside of your sleeping bag when you're actually in it. And I was going to tell you guys that Eureka has patented their anti-catch design for the zipper, and honestly I've never owned a sleeping bag that didn't catch or stick or somehow get stuck while zipping. But this one is actually decent. I will say that it very rarely gets caught, although it just got caught. One other thing I'd like to note is that the zipper on the actual hood itself for the long version is on the left-hand side. For some reason on the regulars it's on the right-hand side. I've never really quite understood what the difference is between left side, right side. Eureka, if you're listening, just make it all right-hand side, you know? Just put it on one side and save yourself the time, stress, and energy. And by making your product just simple and making it everybody just knows how to use it. Both the under and the top and the bottom side of the fabric is going to be 66 denier, which is really kind of a rugged material. It helps kind of keep abrasion away, and I think it also kind of helps with a little bit of ripstop. It doesn't have a ripstop style pattern on it, but I think that this stuff doesn't rip too easy. The inside lining is what they call peached polyester, which is really kind of nice. It feels kind of like really high thread count cotton, but it's entirely made out of synthetics. And because the entire bag is made out of synthetics, it makes it really easy to dry, or dry after getting wet, especially if you're hiking or camping. The inside of the Silver City is going to be this nice little pocket that they've added here. And basically it is just a Velcro simple little pocket that goes in here. And the great thing about it is you can stick whatever you want into it, maybe a headlamp or a cell phone. That's one negative feature I have to say. And I kind of wish that it was a zipper instead of Velcro, or possibly maybe 2 or 3 buttons. That would increase the longevity of the actual usage of the actual pocket, I feel like, instead of this Velcro material, because that Velcro is going to wear out eventually over time. So let's talk about the toe box real quick. The toe box works really well for my feet. It has definitely not a lot of room to move around. It keeps my feet relatively warm. I wish they had increased the amount of material that was in the the end of the toe box, but beggars can't be choosers. The other great thing about it is it does have a wash tag here and explains how to wash it. I generally just wash mine on cold with mild detergent, and then I let it tumble dry on a very low setting with a few tennis balls added to kind of give it a little bit of poof. You know, those tennis balls kind of help aerate the material and make it dry a little bit quicker. So let's talk about the compression sack real quick. I would say that the compression sack, they did an excellent job on. The only thing that I have complaints about the compression sack is the fact that it's not waterproof. Had they made this a little bit of waterproof or even water resistant, water repellent, that would make this thing way more useful. I do pack my sleeping bag in this particular compression sack, which works really well for me. The only problem about it is because it's not waterproof, if you're in the middle of a rainstorm or something and your pack gets wet, then all of a sudden your entire sleeping bag is wet. And that's a miserable time trying to dry that thing out with body heat or even sitting by a fire and trying to warm it up. You know, had they just added a little bit of DWR coating to this, that would have been really freaking awesome. But my overall thoughts of this entire compression sack is it's really well made. It works really well, and it's super lightweight and doesn't add much to the entire sleep system when you put it inside. So another thing I was going to show you guys is basically when you stuff it back into the compression sack, what you want to do is get it out of your gym bag or whatever bag you store it in. Get the compression sack. You want to loosen up all the compression straps, so that way they're nice and loose and even. And you don't need to roll up your sleeping bag at all. I never roll my sleeping bag up. I feel like that does one of two things. One, it frustrates me, and two, it just takes up time when you're packing up. So I always start by taking the tail end where the feet are and sticking that into the compression sack first. And I just kind of stuff as much of the sleeping bag into the compression bag as I can. And try to make it as even as possible. And then once it gets really snug, I take my fist, make it, basically make it into a fist and start shoving the material in there using my fist. Because it helps, you don't want to strain a finger or something trying to push this thing inside of a compression sack. And then I just use the compression straps, pop those over. And then I just give it a good cinch. And I kind of use my body weight to kind of press it down and tighten each strap on either side. I usually call that good. So I just want to give you guys a few tips and some really good information on how to actually store the compression sack, or the actual sleeping bag itself. What I use is a old, this is just an old laundry bag. You can use anything you want, any kind of sack that you can find around your house, whether it's maybe an old pillowcase or maybe you have an extra laundry bag laying around. And what I do is I take the actual sleeping bag out of the actual compression sack. You don't want to leave it in there because what it does is it creates small wrinkles in the actual fabric of the sleeping bag, and that can create tears over time just due to the pressure. And then another reason why is because it flattens the thermal lining inside the sleeping bag. So I just stuff it inside. I just stuff it inside the laundry bag along with the compression sack and just cinch it all up. And it just stores away nice and easy and out of the way. So, in conclusion, the Eureka Silver City has its negatives along with its positives. But overall, with those few design changes, I think that it is a superior product to a lot of other sleeping bags out there. So I think that it's a pretty good buy if you decide to go for it. So that's all I have to say today about it. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know, and catch you guys later. I'm Gearaholic, and I'm signing out.